So President Biden is ready to take action, and the Biden administration has announced that he is ready to meet with Republicans to discuss some solutions to prevent Social Security benefit cuts. And lawmakers are now considering several potential changes to the program, with 3 ideas that will make an especially big impact. Right now, Joe Biden responded to the House Speaker Kevin McCarthy's demands that he would begin negotiations over the debt ceiling by challenging Republicans to produce a public budget plan. But according to Yahoo News, Republicans are producing a plan that would help lay the framework for an in-depth conversation. Joe Biden stated for that conversation to be productive, we should both tell the American people what we are here for. Biden did not say that he would be unwilling to meet McCarthy if Republicans refused to produce a budget, and the White House aides also declined to meet that threat earlier. Yet the White House is eager for GOP lawmakers to outline a proposal that would earn the approval of the narrow majority, believing that such a plan would include cuts to potentially popular government programs. They have even said that they would miss their previous deadline of mid-April to produce a 10-year budget plan, blaming the White House for producing their document a month past the statutory deadline. Earlier last week, Biden indicated there would be little to discuss if Republicans now release a full budget, and bristled on McCarthy's suggestion that they began talks on little and swift spending cuts and regulatory changes outlined by Republicans. Biden and McCarthy last met in February, and the discussion was okay, which was to reach a deal in January and must be increased sometime this summer when the Treasury Department runs out of accounting moves to stave off a payment default on U.S. obligations. McCarthy told CNBC News that the White House insistence on a budget before talks made little sense. He said the budget has nothing to do with that ceiling, since it's just a Republican-only proposal. McCarthy request and White House response illustrates how deep the debt ceiling standoff has become. One of McCarthy's key allies, Financial Services Chairman Patrick McKenney, has said that he was pessimistic about a debt ceiling increase, given the hardened positions. McCarthy suggested attaching a series of bills and proposals to the debt ceiling increase, including cutting domestic appropriations, getting back unspent crisis funds, and adding more work requirements to government benefit programs, and loosening regulations on the projects. The GOP has proposed cutting $130 billion from domestic agencies in fiscal 2024, and conservatives will like to see future growth of these accounts capped at 1% per year. The Department of Finance is now working on getting relief for the next round of people who may have been exempt from filing due to income level, pension, or Social Security. State officials have said, using databases, we will send out more checks between now and the middle of October. And my hope is that we may get another 50 to 100,000 additional checks using these methods. The state suggests that anyone who has not received a check to find out if theirs has been mailed and to review the current criteria for residents receiving a second round of rebate. Now, a huge monthly benefit boost, everybody, is coming to everybody for Social Security, SSI, and SSDI. So eligible Americans may receive hundreds of dollars extra every month, and President Biden has announced that he will be making several important changes to Social Security and Medicare.
The president has a plan to address that. Securing our border is part of our security, to protect and defend our country. Let there be no doubt. I don't respond to those kind of questions. I mean, with all due respect, I'll respect to your question at the end, but not to his comments, because I don't know what he's talking about. I don't know if he does. But the fact is...
So today, President Biden put the spotlight on Medicare and Social Security and 2 hot-button issues that could pack a political punch 6 weeks before the midterm elections. His remarks at the White House were delivered after the popular programs got little attention and House Republicans rolled out of the agenda that they promised to pursue. If voters give them control in November, both Medicare and Social Security face long-run financing problems. Democrats propose solutions that are generally focused on increasing taxes on higher income earners. And Republicans say that Democrats are planning a further strain in Medicare through recent efforts to lower prescription costs. Many Republicans have backed raising the eligibility age for Medicare and the retirement age for Social Security as a part of the plan to keep these programs solvent without hiking taxes. And because the government is paying out more than Social Security benefits than it is collecting in taxes, it's projected to run out of reserves to fully fund the benefits in 2035. The Medicare Trust Fund, which covers inpatient hospital services, will only be able to pay around 90% of scheduled benefits after 2028. The Commitment to America House Republicans announced last week promises to save and strengthen Social Security and Medicare without specifying how. Democrats have also criticized a proposal by Senator Rick Scott to require the federal legislation to be renewed every 5 years. But Senator Scott said he wants to fix and preserve those programs. A bill sponsored by nearly all House Democrats would increase Social Security benefits in various ways and apply the payroll tax for the first time on wages about $400,000 and up. But most of the new benefits would be temporary, and the increased taxes would only be for an extra 4 years of insolvency for the trust fund. On Medicare, for instance, an effort by Senate Democrats this summer to boost taxes on some high earners to shore up that program was not successful. The Biden administration is laying out its plan to meet an ambitious goal of ending hunger in the United States by 2030, including expanding monthly benefits to help low-income Americans by also sending food. The administration, in a plan released today, said it's seeking to increase healthy eating and physical activity so that fewer people are afflicted by diabetes and hypertension. Biden wrote in a memo to the White House in his strategy that the consequences of food insecurity and diet-related diseases are significant, far-reaching, and disproportionately impact historically underserved communities. Yet for food insecurity and food diet-related diseases, we prioritize the health of the nation.
We have a responsibility to secure our border. We also have a responsibility to recognize the importance of newcomers to our nation. Right now, the best thing that we can do for our economy is to have comprehensive immigration reform. We have a shortage of workers in our country, and you see even in Florida, some of the farmers and the growers say, why are you shipping these immigrants up north? We need them to pick the crops down here. But that doesn't mean that we don't recognize our moral responsibility as well. When the president, the former, occasional occupant of the White House who preceded President Biden, when he had the ban on Muslims, everybody came forward. Our military, our diplomats, our faith community, and one part of the faith community, the evangelical community in America, they came forward and said, the refugee resettlement program of the United States is a highlight of our humanitarian commitment. It is. We have a Aberville.
Well, thank you very much, Madam Chair. Thank you all for being here today, and congratulations on your nomination and your sacrifice for doing what you're doing, because it is a sacrifice. I'd like to say first, I'm from a state of 60% agriculture, Alabama, as a lot of states are, especially in the South. We're struggling. We're losing family farms almost weekly. I'm concerned about that. It's getting worse and worse. With the EPA, the climate change activists,